Hey, so I got something new for you guys today. Here I got some monster clay, and what I did recently basically was I was working on some of my new Inner Demon series characters, and here's one of them that I created, which is titled Louis, and he's the demon of distraction. So basically what I did was when I sculpted this, I made a silicone mold and I casted it out of resin. But when I took the silicone mold off, with it being a soft mold, I still had the clay for the most part intact. So I said, it'd be cool to kind of make these little wall plaque guys, that you can hang on a wall or that I'm going to actually attach to a plaque. So, basically the clay that I took out of the silicone mold, I just cut behind the ear and kind of melted it and then kind of reworked it onto a flat surface, a flat piece, right? To kind of make a wall sculpture. But then, I got a couple of my older demons that I was like, you know what? I want to do that to them too. The problem is that these are pieces that I don't have the clay sculptures to. They're already molded, and so there's a few options that I could have taken. I have done it to where, you can only cast part of it, cast most of the face in resin, and then kind of cut and then add some clay and rework it and have part resin, part clay. But then I was also thinking, I have some monster clay. And monster clay, the thing with monster clay that's really nice is that it melts down to a liquid really, really nicely and really quick. So that's what this is actually, because this is the same character as this one. It's just reproduced in clay now. Now I did do a few edits on there because I still like the ears and I don't want it sticking out as far as this one is. And I'm going to continue to kind of work on that. But I have some clay in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go melt this down, and I'm going to show you how nicely it melts down. I'm going to pour it into this mold, which is a different demon, but it's just the face, another wall piece. And and then after it cools down, I'm going to show you guys how it looks, how it comes out, and basically a few of the uses. So give me a minute, and I'm going to go put this in. For majority of the tub, I think this is like half a tub. I usually put it in there for about 3 minutes. It's something that you're going to kind of have to test a little bit to get it to, the liquid state, depending on how much clay you have. But microwave, approximately 3 minutes, give or take. And then, depending on how much clay you have, this one, with it being an open back mold, it might actually not take quite as long to dry. When I originally sculpted this one, it's in a full mold, and the only air in is through the bottom. So it didn't cool off as fast, but even so, I'm probably going to leave it overnight just to dry. But I'm going to go ahead and get this heated up, and I'll zoom in a little bit. And I'll show you guys how this looks, how this works, and how it comes out. Oh, look at that. Liquid clay. So one thing I didn't mention, I just thought about, is when you do actually melt it up, try to cut it up into smaller pieces. When you use big chunks, that takes longer to melt, and then you'll have some of your smaller pieces will become liquid, and some of your bigger pieces will be the liquid will be a little bit more chunky. All right, but let's go ahead and zoom in now that I got this liquid clay, and I'm gonna pour. Liquid clay. Ow. Watch for splattering, of course. Look at that. All right. That is good. I always kind of do this just in case there's any air pockets. It kind of helps to rattle them out a little bit. So there you have it. Melting some monster clay to recast some of your pieces in clay so that you can rework them. This would also work well if you were doing like a little character or a little statue that kind of all had similar features, or like let's say you were doing like a little figure and you wanted to do a whole bunch of the same character but different expressions. You could line them up across the board and kind of recast it in clay, rework a new expression, make a mold, cast it in clay again. That way they would all be the same size, but you could work on different pieces. You could also do the same thing with something like this with a face and do different expressions. Do the same character, sculpt them, mold them, cast them in your resin, but then cast them in your clay, rework the expression to do a new one, like if you wanted to do 7 Deadly Sins, or even just an expressions charts, and it would be able to keep the consistency with the same character. You wouldn't have to worry about, let me sculpt this guy over again so that I can make sure he's the same size, and all the features are dead on. So a lot of possibilities. It's just a matter of what you want to do and what you can think of and imagine. So there you have it, casting with monster clay. I'm going to give this some time to dry and cool off, and I'll be back to demold it and show you what it got. All right, show you guys what it looks like. All right, so I'll catch you in another day. All right, so here we're back, and this is the mold that I poured the clay into, and as you can see, it's good, it's hard. So what I'm going to do is pull this silicone one out of the mother mold and peel the silicone out, and we're going to see what we got. All right, so that's what we have. Actually, this one came out really good, so I'm pretty happy with the way that this one turned out. But that's one of the things that you can do, when you need to rework, or you want to add on or do something like that. Pouring monster clay definitely has its perks depending on what you're working on. If you need to do a life cast and you pour this in and kind of resculpt it or refix a few areas. I know in a lot of the older movies, they did that with certain pieces. I think a lot of life casts from Stan Winston school, they didn't use monster clay, they used another type because that wasn't around back then. But they would do life casts and they would pour in clay, and then they would resculpt them and resculpt the open eyes for a lot of those. But that's what you got. There you guys have it. Hopefully this helps, and be sure to check out my other videos, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys on another video. Thanks for watching.